Welcome to Digital Marketing ROI, the podcast that connects marketing to your business's revenue and covers everything you need to know to stay up to date in this crazy digital marketing world.
Welcome to Digital Marketing ROI. I'm your host, Shannon Allen, and I'm here again with my favorite co-host, Krystal Vivian. Hi, Krystal.
Hi, Shannon. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm very excited about our topic today because I get to ask the questions, and I always like it when I flip the role with you, right?
Yes, you put me on the spot, and I'm in the hot seat.
I do. How have you been? We're in November now. No more 90-degree days, even though we had a few of those, I feel like, still in October.
Yeah, we did. October was great. I was going to say, frankly, I'm cold because I don't love winter. It's not my favorite, but I love the leaves. And so it's fun right now because my daughter loves playing in the leaves, jumping in the leaf piles after school. So we're going to do that. But I've been doing really good. I've been busy, been very busy.
Yes, we've been busy, which is what we're here to talk about today. So, Krystal recently stepped into a new role at FDS as my Director of Client Services. So this is a role that I just want to dive into. So Krystal is overseeing both the content team and the campaign team as it relates to what the title says, like very focused with the clients. So Krystal, you always have done a great job dealing with our clients. And we really like to stress at FDS how it's a team effort. But I think something that was really important to me when I first came back to our company back in 2013. And I told James Derby, our chief strategy officer, I said, I'll come work for you if I can build the team I want to build. And one of the most important things to me was to not just have a sales team, but to have a campaign team that supported that sales team.
Yes.
Because there's so much involved in digital marketing as opposed to when I sold newspaper or even how we sell radio. There's so much fulfillment and optimization that's a partnership, right?
Yes.
You have become the expert will be 3 years in June we started this podcast in 2023.
Yeah. 3 years in June.
Yep. And so over the years, I feel like this has been the best training session for you next to being in every meeting that I do, but just the knowledge of how everything works together. And now you've really jumped into the role of understanding not just what your previous team of the content team brought to the table, but how all the pieces fit together, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So I thought it'd be fun to talk about what you've learned in this new role for our listeners, just because everything that you do as the director of that team really involves the very deep and analytical information as it relates to digital marketing. So I think it's valuable for anybody, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm going to jump right in for the first question for you. So when you were promoted to Director of Client Services, what part of the operations side of our campaign team surprised you the most?
This is a tough question because there were a lot of surprises, but there were a lot of things that I knew a little bit of, but I didn't fully understand the full spectrum of everything. And I guess that's what surprised me the most was how deep the rabbit hole goes.
That's a good way to say it. It's a great way to say it.
Our campaign team is brilliant, and I've known a couple of them for over a decade. I've known a couple of them, the newer team members, just since they joined our company, and I've always liked them and thought that they were really smart in group meetings. But being able to see how intricately they think and strategically they think about our solutions and about what they're doing for the clients and how different pieces come together, and especially diving deep in our reporting. Just there's so much thought process and intention that goes on behind the scenes that you really don't see until you're in it, until you're talking to the campaign team every day.
Yeah.
And I always knew that they were doing really good work. I guess what surprised me was how intensely detailed it was and I would see final reports and I would be sometimes on meetings with clients, but having a different understanding now of knowing how much work actually goes into all of that, that was surprising. And it's given me a much deeper appreciation for our campaign team and what they do.
It absolutely does. And I would say, as we talk about each of our solutions, or some people might call them channels, right? I think for you is we've talked a lot about SEM and our display campaigns and what CTV does for us. And you've led the social management team, but now taking it to a different aspect, and not just talking about it in a sale of a client and a strategy, but seeing it play out, right? From beginning to end.
Yes, 100%. And seeing the optimizations that we're doing throughout the month and what the cadence of the workflow and what needs to happen at this time and how this impacts this. It's been really fascinating. One of the things that has been really exciting for me coming from the content side is I have seen so much opportunity to allow what we're doing on the campaign side to better inform the content and vice versa. We've made some changes where if we're working on AI answer blogs, well, we've been doing SEM for them for 5 years. Their search is really locked in, and that can help inform us with the keywords and the topics that we're going to be focusing on with AI answer blogs, in addition to frequently asked questions, in addition to the normal kickoff that we do with our clients. But that information is really invaluable. Same thing with our Facebook advertising. And our Facebook advertising has always been pretty good, but being able to bring in the social team and the content team and their true understanding of the social platforms and how to write copy that drives clicks and drives conversions on Facebook and Instagram specifically, we've been able to see some success there. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, right?
That's the thing. What I finally realized is Heather Riley, to her credit, was my director of the campaign team, but she also had to spend so much time with each of our vendors and doing our reporting and doing more special projects that what we realized is we needed to split that role up into, I really wanted to focus on the client services, how that revolves. And then I needed Heather, who has moved into the director of operations for me, to oversee each of our vendors and how do we improve upon that? Because this job was bigger than just one person. It's splitting it in so that you and Heather work closer together as she deals with my vendors. It was one thing that I couldn't handle just totally by myself with my role. But that's what I love about this, is that your eyes are opening to new things. Like, I knew how great you could take the Facebook advertising that we've been doing and looking at it with a fresh perspective from somebody that is a content creator and specializes in social management. So those all work hand in hand. That's been good. You mentioned reporting. So with your new role, we know that you're very involved on the reporting side now. So since this podcast is all about ROI, let's give our listeners some back-end insight on how we think about reporting at FDS and why it's a benefit to our clients. And what I really want to hear is like what you've really learned since you've taken on this role, especially as we're in renewal season, with as it relates to reporting.
We think about reporting at FDS, not about this is what your SEM campaign numbers look like. And this is how your display performed. And this is how many view throughs we got on from a OTT CTV ad. We don't look at anything siloed out. We look at everything all together. And we bring it back to, for clients that are doing multiple campaigns for multiple different, what we call buckets, let's take an HVAC company, right? HVAC and plumbing. For that company, we might have furnace as a bucket. We might have plumbing as a bucket. And under furnace, we're doing multiple solutions, and they tie all together to create that ROI for that client. And so how is our display and our SEM and our OTT for that working together to bring leads to the client website, to make sure that they're able to schedule appointments? What I think has been really incredible about what we've been doing right now, which is we're in renewal season, and we're looking specifically at the ROI of every single lead that we're bringing to clients. That is so powerful. We've brought you 1,000 leads, but what does that actually mean for your business? How does that help your bottom line? What's your conversion rate? Your average conversion rate might be 8%. If we've converted 8% of those leads, how much is each of those leads worth? How much money can we say that this has brought you? The ROI aspect of our reporting, I think, is really powerful because we focus on that and we want real world numbers. We want to be able to tie that into what they're doing.
Before you go too far into that, because I do have my next question on that, I want to come back to something you said earlier. One of the reasons why I was really excited to have you when we first started talking about this role, like you were all in. You're like, I'm up for the challenge. I'm excited. Maybe our listeners don't know this, but your background is in journalism, right? You're a storyteller. And what I've always done here at this company is said that our reporting is different than what our competitors do because we are storytellers. And I don't mean that in a way where like, we're going to make it look as good as possible. We look at the data and we identify what that story is. So that was really beneficial for me because you are a natural born storyteller. So tell me more about that on that aspect, taking that role on and teaching and coaching that more.
Stories are how we understand what's going on around us, right? Everything that we do is a story. How we think of our lives is a story. And we're on our own hero's journey, right? And if we think about storytelling for our clients, I'm very excited to tell the hero's journey for our clients. Our clients are the hero, right? But they have to go through the whole what's going on here and how is the industry changing and how are we reacting? What are competitors? What is the landscape looking like? Being able to tell those stories and identify those stories. And it's not always the same. It varies every month. It varies client by client. It's what is the data is telling us, and then where can we go and take that from here?
What's going to happen tomorrow?
What's going to happen tomorrow?
Yeah, the strategy part of it.
Yes, because the story isn't just what happened, it's what happens next.
Yes.
So we can say all day long, okay, what happened, but what do we do next? Because we have to move forward. We can't live in the past. We need to write the story ourselves. I don't mean that to say is we need to make it up. It's we have to make the decision, and our client is the hero. And what is the hero's next step in order to get to their destination, in order to get where we want them to go, which is to be successful, to bring in more leads, to grow their clientele, to have that revenue, and to grow their business and make their business bigger and stronger. So I've always been a storyteller with words. That's been my main focus for my entire career because that's what journalism is.
Writer. Yeah.
There certainly were times where I did a lot of like data analysis and reporting on data and salaries and budgets for local government and things like that in my career. But it was always turning that into words. And that's what I'm very much trying to focus on with the campaign team and teaching them is, okay, we have to find out, yes, what happened, but where do we go next? What numbers are the most relevant to the story? What numbers actually matter and what numbers don't? It is definitely, I think, a challenge for most people to take numbers and turn it into a story, but you just have to really understand what the numbers are. And I think sometimes the story reveals itself.
It does. You touched on the ROI. So building on that reporting topic, what advice would you give our clients when it comes to evaluating reporting from other agencies or media companies? What questions should they be asking their own company that we're doing that maybe they're not doing that is missing?
Ironically, one of the number one questions is, what information do you need for me to make sure that this is working? Because I think about for us in the way that we report, it's not just knowing, okay, we delivered X number of leads to your website, right? Let's say for a credit union, we deliver leads to your website for a mortgage campaign. How much is one mortgage worth? If you know how much one mortgage is worth, and you also know your conversion rate for how many leads are coming to your website, then you can track that ROI. I invested $50,000 in this campaign, but it brought me X number of mortgages, and I've made $250,000 on this campaign because of the leads that you brought and our conversion rate. Because I'm also tracking what our conversion rate is and who's coming into my location and signing up for those mortgages and making that happen.
And what's surprising to me is, and you've been on enough calls with sales team and hearing how surprised clients are sometimes with the questions we're asking, because they almost feel that I can't tell you those dollars. How are we going to measure it? And it's, I think there's a lot of media companies out there that are doing exactly what you were saying, which is they're just reporting the data. They're not tying it back, nor have they ever said to their client, not only how much is one customer worth. You take a mortgage, for example. If they're signing for first-time home buyer and they're signing a 30-year mortgage, most people don't live in a 30-year mortgage. So what's the average lifespan? Is it 7 years? And so I think what media companies are not asking are these questions that people are like, wait a second, why are you asking me that? I can't do my job if you can't tell me what your profitability is. Like I know profit on every single thing we sell. And so that if I sell more of A, B, or C, it's going to help. Now, as a company, we don't try to sell one product over the other because our job is to bring solution based. So one client might need more SEM. That's what I make the least amount on, but it's still going to help the client, right?
Because ultimately at the end of the day, it's what benefits them the most. Another thing that I was thinking of is how do you know that the advertising works? And if I go back to when I switched from journalism to marketing, I was in radio. Right. And it was always like, what did you do different this month? This month you started your radio campaign. And so, well, are sales up this month? Then that must be it because you started your radio campaign.
Right.
You don't know if all of those people came from radio. Your radio campaign could have been very broad, just branding. It could have been something very specific, like talking about your mortgage or your HELOC for your credit union. So I think that it's very important for businesses to ask their agencies, how are you tracking success? How do you know if this is working for my business? But you have to be able to tie it back to, it's not just enough. We had 100,000 impressions and we reached 37,000 people and it's okay, that's fine. Those are numbers, but what do they mean? It doesn't mean anything to say we reached 37,000 people. Great. No. How many of those people converted? How many of those people became paying customers? That's what matters to the client. So
exactly. Yeah. And like, I think about, there's a lot of agencies out there that are reporting impressions and it's like, those are dictated. Like when you're talking about,
we told you that this is $100,000.
We tell you what you're going to do. That's not part of the report. It's just, it's other than to say with the amount of impressions, you're low on the frequency, right? That's where that's missing. Yes. So I do think with other agencies, what I feel like the FDS does very well is we go a step further. We don't just report the data. We go deeper and try to connect the dots, which is like the only way to measure if something's working. And digital marketing gets held to a different standard than traditional because we can measure things in a different way.
Absolutely. And I think just to that point, we should be held to a different standard.
We should, yeah.
But that also comes in with the education, though, of what does this actually mean and how are we actually proving this? But I will say, I review almost every single report that leaves our door. Yeah. And there is not a single time where our campaign team is saying, we reached 37,000 people this month. Great. Right. They're always explaining what the numbers, they're never just talking about reach anyway, but they're talking about the numbers that actually matter and then explaining that to our clients of what this means for them and why they should care and why this is important.
And I think I've had a client in the past that we don't spend a lot of time in Google Analytics because it's very inaccurate. It's a free platform. It hasn't been updated in years and years. It only tracks cookies. It doesn't track apps. I could go on and on. And so I still have clients. We invest in our reporting platform so that I can report accurately. So when I have a client that's holding me to a Google standard, why don't you report Google Analytics? It's forget about Google Analytics. You haven't told me how much that one client is worth. So it's okay to push back to clients that it has to be a shared. I can't be held to a standard if I'm not getting the right information. Like it has to go both ways.
That goes back to we're your partner. This is a partnership. We are working together. And our job is to make our clients really successful. But our clients have a job, which is to help us understand the full picture. And so being able to understand how much that customer of theirs is worth, that helps us know, are we doing our jobs correctly? Because it's not just about delivering the right impressions or you can have perfect frequency. You can have the optimum frequency for your impressions and the reach, and you can be targeting the exact right people. But if you're not converting, if you're not
maybe the message is wrong. Like we don't know.
You don't know. A car dealer is a great example. We did this and we brought this many people to your website because we had Google VLAs going and we had OTT campaign going. We had all of these things and total actions. This is what we had. What were car sales like this month? How was used compared to new? Yeah. Being able to have that information, that helps us because then we can say, okay, this is working, this isn't working, and this is where we need to adjust. Right. And that's the beauty of digital marketing is that we can adjust on the fly. I've been in meetings with clients in the last couple of months where it's, okay, yes, we can adjust this and make this change. And, this insight we had no idea about this. That's something that you've never told us before. And now we're going to change your creative on your display ads and see how much better that performs.
It is, you want to work with a partner that pushes back sometimes or tells you, I can do this campaign, but there's nowhere for me to land. So the message is going to fall flat. So make sure whoever you're working with isn't afraid to push back and tell you that's their job to be the expert at digital marketing. So if something's not right, you want them to push back because they might not know what they don't know.
Yeah. And it's not, you don't want to choose people who are combative, but you, more than anything, you don't want to partner with somebody who is just
an
like
order taker.
An order taker. Yes. A yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yep. Because you're not getting true strategy then.
No, absolutely.
And your job as a business owner is to understand your business, and nobody understands your business better than you do. But our job as a digital marketing agency is to understand digital marketing, and we bring our expertise and the clients bring their expertise, and together we make campaigns really successful. But we are the experts, and we advise accordingly.
And we admit when we don't know something, it's okay.
100%. And sometimes we don't. And sometimes we might not know, but somebody else on our team does.
Exactly.
And I love that our team is very collaborative, and we're always brainstorming and shooting ideas back and forth and saying, hey, I discovered that. What about this? And our team is so open to learning and sharing information with each other. And I love that. Like that kind of environment is so exciting for me to work in.
Love that. Yeah.
And so being able to say, if one of our sales reps is in a meeting and I don't know that, but somebody else on the team does. And I think that's wonderful.
Yep. So here's a good question. Out of all the digital marketing solutions that we offer at FDS, which one are you the most excited to continue to dive into with your new role?
I have two for different reasons. Okay. One is SEM, because this is very nerdy of me. Mm-hmm. I think it's so fascinating how consumers are searching. And my background is in SEO, and even in my journalism days, I was writing SEO optimized headlines and editing my reporters' articles for the website to make sure that the lead had the right keywords in it so that people were Googling. So I've always been really fascinated by how people search. And especially now in the age of AI, the way that people search is so different now and it's evolving. So I'm very fascinated by that and the optimizations that we're doing and what those keywords are and how people get to where they need to go. I think that's really exciting. I'm also really excited about CTV.
Yes.
I think streaming video it's powerful. As a consumer, I've always loved streaming. I think that it's really great. My daughter's 3 years old and she'll never know a world where she can't just say, I want to watch Spidey right now, and Spidey's available. Sometimes I tell her it's not, so that I'm building character. But from a business perspective, from an advertising perspective, video is the most powerful form of storytelling. Hollywood is a multi-billion trillion dollar industry because visual storytelling is so powerful.
Exactly.
And we're bringing that power to our clients and combining that with the targeting capabilities of display ads. And to me, like chef's kiss, there's nothing better, right? Being able to tell those powerful stories, but also make sure that we're delivering those ads to the exact people that need to see it. I feel like a huge nerd, but that's really exciting to me.
It is.
Because it's powerful. And it hits all of the boxes, right? It hits the storytelling box. It hits the creativity box. It hits the targeting box. It hits the ROI
consumer
box.
Journey.
Consumer journey is so big. I'm super excited for that. And I think that there's so much opportunity.
It's going to be the year of CTV for us. I do believe that. So yeah, that's great. Well, last question, and I'm going to change a little bit because we did talk about ROI already, but from your new perspective as the Director of Client Services, what's the biggest ROI opportunity that most businesses are leaving on the table? What's that one thing they could do to help them understand their ROI?
I think it's hold your agency partner to a higher standard. It's hold your agency partner accountable for what it is that they're doing for you. And are you actually seeing an ROI? Are you actually making money? Or are they just selling you something because that's what they have to sell, right? We call we can call them channels. We can call them products. I love that we call them solutions, and that Truly. And yeah, we'll have packages where, okay, yes, our package for social media management, if you have Facebook and LinkedIn, it's this price. But the content is still custom. The strategy is still custom to that business, to their audience, and to those platforms. Yes, we have a rate for our CTV, and depending on, we have different packages that have different CPMs, right? But the message the targeting is still strategic and custom. Everything that we do is truly custom to the clients. And it's tying back again to how much money is one lead worth? If one person buys this product or service from you, how much is it worth? If you are working with a partner that is not being transparent about what they're bringing to you, they're not telling you the data in a way that makes sense to you or that you can tie to actual sales, that's the biggest opportunity that you're leaving on the table. Because why are you doing advertising that you can't measure the actual ROI of?
Right. Yeah. No, I love that. I agree with that 100%. Hold me accountable. If I'm not doing my job, then you shouldn't work with me. Right.
And if there's things that we can do better, we'll do them better.
Exactly.
Sometimes
because we don't know what we don't know. And so as the more questions we ask, and I am always stunned when we have clients that don't want to share information with us. It's why are we in this partnership? Because if you can't share with me how much one customer is worth or the value, it's different if you don't know it. And I'm going to help you with that. But when you're like, I can't share that information, what's the point of doing digital marketing if we can't collaborate on bringing you more money? The clients that cancel because they just need to cut a budget item, that is doing a disservice to marketing, because you really don't know why you're cutting, other than you need to cut a line item. And there's nothing worse to me. We worked with an RV company once that it was new to them, and they decided to take more things in-house and just move to a different channel. And we brought over 170,000 website visits in 1 year. And you can't tell me that they didn't feel that hit in year one. So think of all these things. It's like when budget cuts hit, there's things that you can cut and there's things you shouldn't cut.
Yeah. And being transparent with your partner and saying, listen, this is what my budget is.
How do we figure it out?
What can we still do to make sure that I'm maximizing my ROI, even though I might have to cut my budget?
And I'll tell clients that all day long, cut this. This is more brand focus, and we're just going to go to lead focus until you're ready to bring back the brand.
Yeah, let's help you. Again, going back to our goal is to make our clients money, to be like, our goal is to make them successful. And the best way that we can do that is to truly partner together. And if you have a budget that's 50% of what it was last year, let's get that money back. Let's figure it out together.
And the big thing I teach our sales reps all the time is marketing is composed of advertising and services we offer.
Yes.
One of them brings a higher ROI. It doesn't mean that the service we offer of writing your content doesn't bring you ROI, but it's not in the same category. They all work together, but if you can only afford one, I'm going to keep you in the advertising category, because that's going to bring a different ROI.
And it's a direct ROI. And the ROI in services is there, but it's a longer burn. And
I was thinking like losing weight.
Yeah.
To lose weight, you have to eat better and exercise. But if I can only do one, you have to eat better.
You have to eat better. Yeah.
You can't just exercise and eat what you want and think you're going to get any results. Marketing is the same way. You need both to work, but if you've got to pick one, you're going to pick advertising over services we offer
all day long.
Thanks for today. This was fun. I'm glad we got to get a behind the scenes look at how we're evolving at FDS to really better serve our clients. And that's your big role right there. So we know the goal is always the same. We want to deliver measurable ROI through strategic digital marketing. So this partnership is really important. So thank you for today.
You're welcome. Thank you, Shannon. It's been a pleasure.
I'm Shannon Allen, your host. Thanks for listening, and tune in to our next episode of Digital Marketing ROI.
You've been listening to Digital Marketing ROI from Federated Digital Solutions. Do you have an idea for a future episode or a burning digital marketing question? Text ROI to 45364 to get a link where you can share your idea. Subscribe to get new episodes every other Thursday, plus Tip Tuesday insights every week.
Podcasts by Federated Media.